The 2020 draft just wrapped up, and man, was that surprising. You guys already know I had to get on the mic and talk about the winners and losers of the draft. We're back on the grind. I would really appreciate it if you guys could smash that like button. Let's try to get this video to 7,999 likes, and let's get into it. We've got to start this off at the top of the draft, where the number one pick was in the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who ended up taking Anthony Edwards. We also saw them make a trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder, where they gave up the 17th overall pick in exchange for the 25th pick Lamelo Ball and the 28th pick Jaden McDaniels. They also brought back Ricky Rubio. I think this team absolutely walked away as winners. Now, they're not shocking winners or anything like that. They didn't make a blockbuster move with that first overall selection where they clearly walked away on top. But they made a smart decision that happens to fit beautifully into this roster. This team has a lot to get excited about between D'Angelo Russell, Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and we're still yet to see if Jarrett Culver can reach the potential we saw when he went with the 6th overall pick in the draft. I also like that trade they made. They bring back Ricky Rubio, who at the least is going to be a very solid rotational guard and a great veteran presence for this team. They also did what you're supposed to do with late first round selections and drafted for upside. I don't know much about Ball, but he's a foreign prospect coming in with a nice physical profile at 6'7" that appears to be a very competent both ball handler and passer for his position. Jaden McDaniels is a guy that was talked about as a possible lottery selection coming out of high school. He needs to pack on some muscle, but at 6'9", he has the raw ability to create for himself and shoot beyond the perimeter, which gives him an extremely high ceiling. He is a risky pick. It wasn't a beautiful freshman season at Washington, but in the Timberwolves position, I like this move, and I like all the moves they decided to make. At number 2, we've got the Warriors, and I don't really have them as winners or losers, and I truly feel bad for both them and obviously Klay Thompson given the recent injury news. This team woke up this morning expecting their Splash Brothers back healthy and ready to make a decision in the draft that would put them in a position to get back to contending at the top of the league. Sadly, it's hard to expect that with this recent news. They decided to take James Wiseman, a top-tier big man prospect. Was it the pick I would have made? Probably not. But they were put in a hard position and they still walked away with a great prospect. At number 3, we've got the Hornets, who grabbed Lamelo Ball, and I think this makes them clear winners. For most of the draft process, it didn't look like this was going to be a possibility, and I really didn't see this happening going into draft night. The Hornets, one of the smallest markets in the league, and a team that has struggled to get past mediocrity since coming in as an expansion team, lands, in the eyes of many, the best prospect in this draft. You can have your opinions on LaMelo, but the talent is undeniable. I mentioned it many times, but I actually really like some of their young guys like PJ Washington. With LaMelo now in town, the eyes will be on Charlotte, and man, am I excited to see what happens. And then we've got the Chicago Bulls, and boy, was I shocked by this selection. I really thought this was one of the teams that would make a move. I was honestly surprised with the fact that we saw almost no movement at the top of this draft, but they decided to stay put and take Patrick Williams of Florida State. Now, this 4th overall pick was a little deceiving, as it was truly up in the air who would go here, assuming that Wiseman, LaMelo, and Edwards were all in the top 3. But Patrick Williams, regardless of how you feel about him as a prospect, was a reach given where he was projected to go. Most mocks had him in the late lottery or even going into the late teens. I like Patrick Williams as a prospect with what he can bring as a defender and his potential on offense, but this is a guy that came off the bench as a freshman, shot just 32% from 3, and the Bulls already have someone they believe in at that position. That's assuming that they don't actually believe he can play the small forward position. What makes me so mad about these types of picks isn't really who they select, but the value that they sacrifice to get them. The value of that 4th overall pick was much higher than Patrick Williams right now, and that's just a fact. I really felt this team needed to try and trade up in this draft, but maybe Williams will be the savior of Chicago, and if I didn't make it clear, I have them as losers. Then we've got the Cavs at 5, who took Isaac Okoro out of Auburn. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. They had a lot of options at 5. I think guys like Onyeka, Obi, and Avdija would have been much safer picks here, but out of that wing defender bunch of Williams, Okoro, and Vassell, I actually liked Okoro coming off the board first with where I think his upside stacks up. This team definitely needed to bring in defense, and they went out and got it. Now, I don't have them as winners or losers, especially since they actually did put in some effort in on the clock to move this selection. The Atlanta Hawks were at 6 and able to grab Onyeka Okongwu, and I love it. When you know your franchise cornerstones are both not great defenders, that being Trae Young and John Collins, you need to surround these guys with versatile defenders. They did that a year ago with DeAndre Hunter, and now they're doing that with Okongwu. This is a guy that's been consistently compared to Bam Adebayo. Now, expecting that would be ridiculous, but this guy truly projects to be elite on the defensive end, and I don't mind this scenario of him starting off his career playing behind Clint Capella. He was the best player on the board in my eyes, and they took him. They walk away as winners. Then we saw the Pistons take Killian Hayes, the New York Knicks take Obi Toppin, and the Washington Wizards take Denny Avdija. All 3 of these guys were expected to go around this range, and prospects I really like. From these selections alone, I don't think any of them came out as winners or losers. Smart picks though, but for some of these teams, they weren't done. The Pistons went on to trade Luke Kennard in a 3-team deal where they acquired the 19th pick, Sadiq Bey. In a separate transaction, they went and got the 16th pick where they took Isaiah Stewart out of Washington. Now that one was definitely a reach. Now, letting Kennard go for that price might be pretty disappointing for some Pistons fans, but this is a guy that's dealt with injuries, is about to be a restricted free agent, and this team is clearly heading towards a full reset. I don't think this draft haul for Detroit makes them winners by any means, but I like this defensive-minded group they went after, and really think Killian Hayes is going to be a nice building block alongside Sekou Doumbouya going forward. Now, the other members of this trade, that being the Brooklyn Nets and Los Angeles Clippers, I really think came away as winners. The Clippers added their ridiculous amount of big-name acquisitions over the past year and a half with Luke Kennard, who, if healthy, can be a key part of this team that projects to be in the running for the NBA title. And then there's the Brooklyn Nets. This is a team that has extremely high hopes with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant returning to the court. They were able to get a knockdown shooter in Landry Shamet. The chances the player they would have drafted at 19 would have been better than Shamet was very, very low. So given their situation, I like their decision. Now we've got to talk about one of the biggest losers, the Phoenix Suns. Last season, we were shocked when the team decided to trade down from number 6 and draft Cam Johnson at 11. He was a very solid prospect and had a great rookie year this past season, but at the time, that was a reach. No ifs, ands, or buts. He was projected to be a late first-round selection, and this season, they held the 10th pick and decided to get Maryland sophomore Jalen Smith. A very solid stretch big prospect, but again, a major reach. A lot of projections had the sophomore as a late first-round selection. I think the context of who was on the board adds to this L. With wings like Aaron Naismith and Devin Vassell, or one of my favorite prospects in the draft, Tyrese Halliburton, who yes is a guard and they just got Chris Paul, but this is an extremely versatile player and Paul's not a part of any long-term plans. I really think they messed up on this one, but only time will tell. I think another winner that emerged, in my opinion, is the Boston Celtics. I would have loved to see them make some more trades, but they were able to get Aaron Naismith, a guy that I've been hyping up for months now, and to see him go to a contender is just so exciting. This is a forward who's a solid defender, but what gets you most excited is obviously his ability to spread the floor. As a sophomore at Villanova in 14 games, he averaged 23 points, shooting 52% from 3 on over 8 attempts a game. Man, would I be happy to be a Celtics fan right now. Then we've got the Nuggets, who again leave the draft as winners. They're just not afraid to take chances with these non-top picks, and it's gonna pay off. The Nuggets got RJ Hampton with the 24th overall pick. This is a combo guard with sky-high potential. Just a year ago, he was coming out of high school as a top-ranked player, projected to be a top selection in the upcoming draft. He decided to go to the NBL in Australia, where he didn't do anything crazy, but this is a guy we could be having a whole nother conversation about if he just decided to go to college this past season. When some of these risky picks by the Nuggets really start to pay off, teams in other small markets need to take notice. The last of the winners I have are going to be the Philadelphia 76ers, who got a much needed shot creator in Tyrese Maxey, who a lot of people believed would be a lottery selection, and then made a trade with the Dallas Mavericks, giving up Josh Richardson, but again, addressing needs, going and getting one of the best shooters in the league, Seth Curry. On the other end of that deal, I think the Mavericks were winners on the night. They got a two-way player in Richardson, who I think will thrive in an increased role, and made two great selections in the draft with Josh Green from Arizona, who's a do-it-all athletic 6'6" guard at 18. Then got one of the best shooters in the draft, if not the best shooter in the draft, Tyrell Terry, out of Stanford at the top of the second round. But these are just my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe. And the shout outs are gonna be Sad Pat, Step Over, Christopher, and Denzel. If you guys want to shout out in the next video, all you gotta do is like the video and comment liked, or rep Notification Squad, and I'll shout 5 of you guys out. With all being said, hope you guys have a great day, and peace.